the town is still dotted with the decaying remains of its industrial past. The Kilner plant was demolished long ago. In its place is an environmental public attraction that Jeremy has come across before.
I'm fairly convinced that this is where the hideous Earth Centre is. That would be a cruel irony. The company that faced one of the first environmental lawsuits has now been bulldozed to make way for an Earth Centre.
The entrance to the Earth Centre is still called Kilner's Bridge.
I'm surprised the Earth Centre hasn't changed the bridge to make it out of rhubarb or something. Something that is kind to the environment. A nice, I think rhubarb and yeast. That'd be a good thing to make a bridge. It wouldn't work, but it would be kind to the environment. It's not the most beautiful bridge in the world. Not from here, anyway. Nor is it a particularly beautiful bridge from over there, either. It's nice to know that the family has a bridge.
As with the other Kilner factories, most of the site at Conisbrough is now just weeds. But here, at least, one building does survive. This house was built in 1864 by Jeremy's great-great-grandfather, Caleb Kilner. For 25 years, Caleb lived here amongst his workers and the smoke of his grimy factory. His obituary, written in 1920, paints a picture of a hard-working, popular employer.
This is Caleb Kilner's obituary, the chap who built this house. He said he started out 2 shillings a week, worked his way up through the family firm until he was set up the Conisbrough branch here, and just worked very hard. Everybody loved him. When he died, all the blinds were drawn along the funeral route for the houses. Enormous number of people came to the funeral, including, I noticed, some Clarksons, which is interesting. But then, all this stuff is about the church. He's obviously fanatical.
In 1899, Caleb moved his family away from the factory to a bigger house, overlooking Conisbrough.
In here, Ivanhoe Lodge. Crikey. A creeper-covered... Well, he couldn't have had a Range Rover back then. He'd never have got it through here. This, I gather, is where Caleb Kilner came to live after he moved away from the...
Yeah.
So, have you traced the history of the place?
Not particularly, no.
Really?
No. We just know that Caleb lived here and died in 1920.
Yeah.
Converted the house in the late 1890s, 1899.
Converted it from...
Like a cottage-like structure.
When the current owner, Peter Skinner, moved in, he discovered a box of Caleb's old photos and documents in the attic.
Oh my God, look at this, what we've got here. This is Caleb Kilner's will. Bloody hell, fire. You've seen how many houses they had? This is what Caleb Kilner, who's only one of them, wasn't he? I mean, this is what he left in his will. 17 houses in Castle Grove Terrace, 13 houses in Durn Street, 11 houses in Don Street, 11 houses in Ouse Street, 13 houses in Trent Terrace, 34 cottages, 2 houses and 2 shops in Burcroft, 14 houses in Calder Terrace, 12 houses in Ferry Terrace, 10 cottage villas on south side of Low Road, known as Kimberley Pardberg, blah, 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 blah. All the above property being situated at Conisbrough in the county of York, and all his land situate at Bridlington.
When Caleb died, aged 77, his son George took over the running of the factory and moved into Ivanhoe Lodge.
So there's a mortgage. George Kilner got a... Why was he taking out a mortgage in 1931 if he'd been left in 1920?
Yeah.
About 500,000 houses. Deeds relating to the 1854 square yards of freehold land with house and other buildings known as Ivanhoe Lodge. He took out a mortgage on this place 11 years after his father died. Did he have a coke habit? So in 11 years he got through the lot. So we've narrowed down a culprit at least, haven't we? George blew my money.
George's 1940 obituary paints a picture of a retiring soul who took no part in community life and liked nothing more than to sit by the fire with a good book. Hardly qualities that make a captain of industry. Under George's management, the firm floundered, and his father's fortune dwindled as he struggled to keep the company afloat. Jeremy may have found a culprit, but he still needs to know where George went wrong. One Yorkshire glass company from the Kilners' time has lasted to the present day. If Jeremy can find out how they survived, it might help explain why the Kilners didn't.
Well, look, the car's in there. I was really looking forward to finding out why the Kilners went bust, but I'm afraid it's all over now.
I reckon you could jump over that. Bit of a run up.
Oh, damn! Now look what's happened. I don't know how you guys are going to get across with the camera and everything. It beats the Clark. Hello.
John Clark.
Hi, Jeremy Clarkson. Nice to meet you. You too.
John Clark's family have been manufacturing bottles in Yorkshire for more than 150 years.
Kilners were not alone. I mean, there are a number of firms that did go under. In the 1930s, there were 400 glassmakers in this area, and today there are 3/4. They were caught by, well, it's hard to say selecting the wrong machine for them, but as things turned out, probably they selected the wrong machine.
The Kilners may have splashed out on an Owens machine, but it was soon made obsolete by the arrival of bigger and faster machines in the 1920s. The age of mass production had arrived. Not only was the new equipment expensive, but it needed vast factories to operate efficiently, not the numerous small buildings of an old bottle works.
So they would have needed to have pulled both their works down and then build new buildings just to put the machines in.
Big money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's enough just to invest in the machinery. Never mind having to build a building as well.
In the new world of modern mass production, a family firm like the Kilners simply lacked the resources to stay in the game. Other glass companies merged to form conglomerates, big enough to tear down their old factories and start again.
You just look at that photograph of George Kilner and know he wasn't going to be the sort of man who was going to start again.
George struggled on until 1937. Then, after 4 generations and 93 years, Kilner Glass closed its doors for the last time. But for the Kilner jar, the story was far from over. The trademark was bought by one of the new conglomerates, and production continued, reaching its peak during the Second World War and becoming a kitchen icon, indispensable to a generation of housewives.
Before I go back to the south again, I do want to know what this man in Cheshire is doing with my patent, well, my trademark. What is historically and rightfully mine? Why has he got it? What's he going to do with it? And will he give it to me, or will I have to punch him to get it out of him? What's his name?
Tony Enfield, or Anthony Enfield.
What flat number was it? 6?
6. Anthony Enfield.
Hi there, we're from BBC TV.
Hang on, I'll just buzz you in. Hang on, I'll come out.
Thanks. Jeremy Clarkson.
Hi, pleased to meet you.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Very good.
Good.
I wasn't expecting you.
I found the other day when I went to the British Library
Right.
that you